Welcome to EnglishOmy, out of the podcast that helps you speak English naturally, step by step, every day. I'm Omi, your English learning buddy. Let's begin today's journey.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to EnglishOmy. I'm Omi, and before we dive into today's topic, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring English stories. Today, I want to share something deeply personal with you: the journey to English fluency. You know, fluency is a dream that lives in the heart of every English learner, and I completely understand that feeling because I was once exactly where you are now. I still remember my younger self, eager, determined, but also incredibly shy and afraid of making mistakes. Every time I opened my mouth to speak English, my heart would race with anxiety. But one day, a teacher said something that completely transformed my perspective. You can become fluent if you practice every day. Those simple words became the foundation of everything I achieved afterward. Think about fluency, like planting a tree. You don't just put a seed in the ground and expect immediate results. Instead, you water it daily, ensure it gets sunshine, and nurture it with patience and care. Then one day, that small seed grows into a magnificent, strong tree. Your English fluency works exactly the same way. What I've learned through 4 decades of teaching is that fluency isn't about perfection. It's about progression. It's not about speaking fast or knowing every single word in the dictionary. True fluency comes from consistent daily practice, embracing your mistakes as learning opportunities, and most importantly, never giving up on your dreams. Let me share some stories that will change how you think about your English learning journey. Let me tell you about Sarah, one of my students, who came to me feeling completely defeated. "Teacher Omi," she said with tears in her eyes, "I want to speak English so badly, but I always forget the words when I need them most." I smiled gently and told her something that surprised her. Fluency isn't about remembering every word. It's about developing the right habits. The secret to fluency that I've discovered over my teaching career is surprisingly simple. Listen, listen, and listen some more. When I was learning English myself, I would spend hours every night listening to English stories. My teacher would read to us, and I would repeat every single word, even if I didn't understand the meaning initially. At first, I was painfully slow, but with time I became faster, more confident, and my vocabulary naturally expanded. I remember another student, Michael, who absolutely loved music. He discovered that English songs were his gateway to fluency. Every morning, he would listen to English songs during his commute, and soon he started singing along. What happened next was remarkable. His pronunciation improved dramatically because he was constantly listening and repeating natural English rhythm and intonation. The beauty of listening is that it's available everywhere and anytime. You can listen while walking, cooking, exercising, or even before falling asleep. Your brain absorbs the natural patterns of English, the way native speakers connect words, and the emotional tone that makes communication truly effective. This passive learning becomes active fluency when you start incorporating what you've heard into your own speech. Now, let me address the elephant in the room: the fear of making mistakes. I once had a student named Emma who was brilliant on paper but terrified to speak aloud. She would sit in the back of the classroom, knowing all the answers but never raising her hand because she was convinced everyone would laugh at her mistakes. One day, I told her something that changed her entire perspective. "Emma, mistakes are not your enemies. They are your best teachers. I explained that every mistake she made was actually her brain's way of testing and learning new patterns. The day she finally decided to speak up in class, she made several mistakes, but something magical happened. She didn't stop. She kept speaking, correcting herself naturally, and by the end of that conversation, she was glowing with confidence. Another crucial breakthrough comes when you start thinking in English instead of translating from your native language. I had a student, David, who was always slow in conversation because he would think in his native language, translate to English, then speak. This mental translation created a delay that made him sound robotic and unnatural. I challenged David to spend just 10 minutes each day thinking in English, even when he was alone. He started by describing simple activities. I am brushing my teeth. I am making breakfast. I am walking to work. Gradually, this internal English dialogue became second nature, and his speaking became much more fluid and spontaneous. The transformation was remarkable. He went from hesitant translator to confident communicator. Reading became one of my most powerful tools for building fluency. When I was learning English, I would read simple books every day, and whenever I encountered a new word, I wouldn't just look it up. I would write it down and immediately try to use it in my own sentence. This active engagement with new vocabulary made those words stick permanently in my memory. One of my students, Lisa, discovered the power of reading stories aloud. She would record herself reading for 10 minutes each day, then listen back to identify areas for improvement. This self-awareness technique helped her notice her own pronunciation patterns and gradually correct them naturally. But here's what really accelerated fluency for many of my students: finding a practice partner. I had two best friends in my class, Anna and Maria, who made a pact to speak only English with each other for 1 hour each day. They would help each other with vocabulary, correct pronunciation gently, and most importantly, they made learning fun and social. Within months, both of them showed remarkable improvement. Real-life application is where fluency truly develops. I encouraged my students to use English in their daily activities, ordering food, asking for directions, making small talk with neighbors. One student, James, worked in a shop and decided to practice English with his customers. Initially, it was challenging and sometimes awkward, but his confidence grew with each interaction. He learned to adapt his language to different people and situations, which is the essence of true fluency. The most successful students I've taught all had one thing in common. They had a clear, personal reason for wanting fluency. Whether it was traveling to an English-speaking country, advancing their career, or simply connecting with people from different cultures, having a meaningful goal kept them motivated during challenging times. I always tell my students to celebrate small victories. Learn a new phrase, celebrate it. Have a conversation without hesitation. That's worth celebrating too. These small acknowledgments keep your motivation alive and help you recognize the progress you're making every single day. Remember, fluency is not a destination. It's a beautiful, ongoing journey. Some days will feel easier than others, and that's perfectly normal. Be patient with yourself, stay curious, embrace your mistakes as stepping stones, and most importantly, enjoy the process of discovering a new way to express yourself. The journey to fluency is like a river flowing toward the ocean, steady, persistent, and unstoppable. Every word you learn, Every conversation you have, every mistake you make is bringing you closer to your goal. Now, I want to hear from you, our amazing EnglishOmy community. What inspires you to keep going on your fluency journey? Share your story in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more motivational English content. Until next time, keep practicing, keep believing in yourself, and remember, you've got this.
Thanks for spending time with me on EnglishOmy today. Remember, small steps every day lead to big progress. If you like this episode, follow the podcast and share it with a friend.